This is RTP. This is RTP180.
I have this fear of falling off this podium and being taped while I do it. Some of you know that I do things like that. Okay. So I talk to a lot of groups, and I love the fact that Sarah said, go and tell your story, because that's what I'm going to do today. The question that I often get is, how did you get here from there? So that's what I'm going to talk about today. I was on a CIO panel recently, women's CIO, and one of the questions from the audience was, well, how did you get started? There was a woman sitting to my right. She was a CIO for a military organization, and she spoke before me, and she said, the most important thing is to have a plan. And so then my turn came, and I said, okay, so I had no plan. And it's true. I grew up at a time when if women got degrees, they were nurses or teachers. That's it. Those were the only options. I had a degree in math and English, and I wasn't actually qualified to do those things, nor did I want to do those things. And there were not many other women. I did have an opportunity to be a bank teller, and I decided maybe, yeah, a math degree, yeah, it's arithmetic making change, but nonetheless. So what I really wanted to think about, unlike some of the prior speakers, I didn't have a lot of family support. There were not a lot of working women in my family, and I knew I wanted to be independent. I had to support myself. Many of the people I went to college with got married when they got out of college, and I wanted to do something interesting. So the next slides, I have to tell you, I am not going through these in detail because I've done it before and it takes about 45 minutes. But I started out, I went to school in the Lehigh Valley, and Bethlehem Steel had their headquarters there, and they interviewed everywhere in the Lehigh Valley, including the women's college I went to. They never hired anybody from there. Oh, except for me. They came in and they said, we have a management program at Bethlehem Steel in Buffalo, New York, and you can be an industrial engineer. And I said, sure, why not? I didn't know what an industrial engineer was. I didn't know anything about steel manufacturing, and I had never been to Buffalo, New York. That was okay. So I stayed there about a year. The steel industry, there isn't a big steel industry in the US anymore. So this was a while ago. I then moved to Ford Motor Company. I had another job as industrial engineer. I went to a hospital and textile products company, started as an industrial engineer, became a manufacturing systems implementer. This is where I started using computers at work. Moved to Data General, which was a computer company. It became EMC, it's now Dell. And I was there 14 years, and I did everything you can think of: manufacturing systems, software quality management, Unix operating systems, software development, all over the place, and landed at RTI 20 years ago, and have had 3 official jobs there and 25 special projects. So, so what? So here's the punchline. First thing, I started somewhere, had no clue where I was going to end up, but knew I wanted to do something interesting. And I learned a gigantic amount of things along the way, and was always willing to try something new, even if I had no clue what it was. I made a lot of my own opportunities. I never had a fear of failure or taking a risk that wouldn't work out. And I'll tell you, at least 2 of them didn't work out. But recovery is not really a problem. I watched out for my own career. This is something we talk to a lot of our staff about. Nobody hands you a career. Or maybe they do for some people, maybe my brother, but certainly not me. My brother's very accomplished. But anyway, I invested a lot of things in trying to find what mattered to me and investing in, I went and got a master's degree. When I found an obstacle, I would try to find a way not to avoid it, but to solve it. I did not always assume that everyone or everything was against me, though the truth is I was always the first woman in the places I worked, and for many years the only woman. So there were no role models, and I didn't have family role models. So I did the best I could. I always focused on doing a good job, doing something that benefited the organization and made a difference. So it was not about what can I do for me, it was always about what can I do for the organization. Learned a lot about my value system. I worked in a company where the values were really different than mine, and I didn't stay there very long. And I'm really lucky to work at a place now where we talk about integrity and honesty and excellence and respect. And that works for me. And now I have the opportunity to mentor a lot of other people, be a role model, hopefully a positive one, and share my story. Thank you.